Hi everybody, my name is Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. For all of us, it's interesting how our days go, how our weeks go, how months, our years, our lives go. And in each of our lives there are the seeming dramas, the seeming joys, the seeming ups, the seeming downs. And yet, when I was watching the opening, as I assume you were, and there was that little boy, and then it was like to know the joy of living. Do we really know the true joy of living that, in a sense, transcends our ups and downs and our crisis and our experiences that go through all the different processes that human lives go through? And there is an opportunity to do that. There is an opportunity to know and experience that is transcendent to that duality that we sometimes think is the reality. And so for all of us, it's an opportunity once again to come with us for the next hour and have that experience available. We have a guest tonight who's an extraordinary human being. I mean, what people would call a Renaissance man. He's a Tai Chi master, he's an architect, he's a cultural anthropologist, he's a master of moving meditation, he's a concert performer, he's a calligrapher. I mean, this is an amazing human being. Chungliang Huang is an extraordinary being, and he has been for a long time. But the thing that really struck me about all the different things that he's done is that he somehow tapped into the joy of living. That whatever he's doing, he brings that experience, the joy of it. And he knows that there'll be times when things will work, when things won't work, when planes will be on time, when planes won't be on time, when people you care about will go through difficult times, where you'll go through difficult times. But that knowing of somehow that inner joy, and to bring that out, and to bring that out in whatever way you can do it. He's a man who's written numerous books, some of which are Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain, Quantum Soup, the Chinese Book of Animal Powers, a book called Tai Ji, Thinking Body, Dancing Mind. I mean, just books that allow people to tap into that joy. And that love, and what we talk about all the time on Bridging Heaven and Earth, is that connectedness to the One, to where we all are of that same experience, where we all are brothers and sisters. And all the things that we think over and over and over and over again are the differences between us are so small and so shallow compared to that experience of that love, of that truth. So for the next 55, 6, 7, 8 minutes, there's an opportunity for us all to really know that joy. Because when Al comes on the set, you're going to know that this person knows that and is here to share that with you. And we're also going to have at least one video, maybe two videos of the Tai Chi sections that he's doing, of different demonstrations of that. And we have an opportunity really to know that truth. And as I've said so many times on this show, I mean, we've done this show for 7, 8, 9 years now, is that there is an opportunity for human beings to really connect, to really recognize. On the opening page of the Bridging Heaven and Earth website, we talk about God is love, God is love, whatever it is, we are God and we are love. And that is an experience that we can have and that we can know. So whatever you've done today, let this night settle in for you. So let me start out this night as we normally do with a short meditation, and then we're going to have a video. So please join me in a short meditation. Thank you. So actually, we are all made of love, God is love, and we are God. That's the opening to the bridging heaven and earth site. So, and that is knowable by a human being. And when that is knowable, joy is the next experience, or that joy is the experience. So we're going to show a video now. It's a Tai Chi demonstration by Al, and then we're going to have Al on the set to have a long discussion about how that joy can be experienced. So, Tai Chi demonstration.
Open to the spirit of Tai Chi.
Wow, that was beautiful. Well, Anna said, welcome, Al.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So when did you realize that that joy and love lived within you and that's what you really were? How did that happen for you?
I think I am blessed and very grateful that my childhood in China was during the war. We were very lucky to be in a village when I grew up, and the environment of nature all around me, and the ability to absorb this kind of a nature's movement. And I learned Tai Chi when I was very small, just by absorbing nature and watching.
The actual Tai Chi techniques, or just
Well, it's the movement you just saw me dancing, and it's a way of using the body as an instrument, very much the theme of your show, between heaven and earth. The body is the perfect link between heaven and earth.
It's the only way humans
It's the only
can
way
do.
we know this. We are the link, we are the immediate, we are the vehicle. And I think when I learned as a child is the joy of nature, the beauty of nature is embodied in us. If you can absorb this connection in your body and learn to meditate, even as a child, meditation, it's a sense of coming into yourself and know that through this vehicle, you embody the spirit, you embody the essence, and there's a deep joy within. And out of that joy, and it's your fountain of your spring for the rest of your life. And whatever situation you're in, whatever difficulties you are in life, you can dip into that place. And then through this, you find the joy.
And you came to this very young, because a lot of people, especially I would say Westerners, went through differing periods where it came later in a way.
Right.
So you've had this experience, or kind of knew this. Did you ever leave it? And
Well, when I was a teenager, during the time we had to sort of exile from the mainland to Taiwan before I came to America, and I lost it because we became very Americanized, and the Western culture infiltrated in China.
Materialism.
Exactly, and all the embracing of the Western excitement for a short period, and I was not interested anymore. I didn't think I want to learn all about the West.
Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Were you during
no,
those years?
I was too good of a young boy. I was too well trained. But I came to America to study and learning about your culture and embrace the culture. And only after a little while, when I became a professional person, I realized in order to be able to find my center again, to be able to really live a balanced life, I am thankful to have my Asian culture, to use what I learned as a child to help me to live successfully and with good center in the world that we
And
know.
Tai Chi, basically, people describe as a moving meditation. So why don't you tell how that works and explain?
Well, Tai Chi is it's a philosophy. Tai Chi is a big picture. Tai Chi literally means the great oneness of the universe and embodied in your center, and how you relate to nature and find a way to flow with it. Tai Chi is a concept, it's a philosophy. Most people look at Tai Chi movement, if you watch us doing this very slow movement, you've seen me. That's a Tai Chi Chuang, we call it, which is it's a choreography, it's a dance we learn based on the sense of balancing of the polarity of the two sides of ourselves. Right arm and left arm, we form a circle instead of being pulled on two sides. So you find the roundness. You bring high and low together. You bring out and in together. So you begin to create a sense of harmony and wholeness. Otherwise become dualistic pole. This is what conflict becomes, contradictions and conflicts, ambiguity that make us split. And Tai Chi is the philosophy to help you to find that holism, polarity come together.
And the movements are just a part of that.
The movement is the basic beginning, and then out of the meditation of the movement, a dance evolves throughout the ages. There are many variations, but basically it's the same theme. And you and I, from different culture, different race, but if we reach our arms up, and the same gesture.
And reach our
exactly.
experience in.
When
so
we
in
talk,
and out,
the gesture of our hands, we're doing the same thing. This is a Tai Chi beginning. And of course, once you experience this longer, and then suddenly certain organic motion becomes so much a part of the experience, and eventually become very much a universal theme.
And basically what happens is the more you get in tune with that, the more you're in harmony, the more the wind is in your sails.
Exactly.
And you're not always heading upwind and struggling all the time.
You are in the center of what you think, being who you are, instead of always outside looking in or being pushed with the rhythm of external part of you. The internal part of you, as you demonstrated in the beginning of the show, is a sense of meditative coming into yourself, to tune in to the spiritual part of you, to the human part of you. And if you can find that center, maintain that center, that's the essence of Tai Ji learning.
And that's the essence of basically all the spiritual paths.
Absolutely.
Somehow to get in touch with that
We
and
use-
recognize that's what you are rather than the other things you think you
We
are.
use different names from different sources,
Right.
but ultimately we're talking about the same thing.
Right.
There's really no difference.
Right, there are a lot of like paths, there are a lot of spokes to
Exactly.
the center, but we really want to
Exactly. Yeah.
want to be in the center.
Exactly. When I first came to the West, and I was totally enamored with the Western culture, I was in a way pushing my background, my Asian culture behind, and want to be Westernized. And after I lived in the West, decided that this is my home. I'm going to be a world citizen. So I'm going to combine the best of what I know, the best of the East and West together.
Yeah, I mean, it's only some illusion that we separate them out anyhow. Because,
Exactly.
you know, that's
Exactly.
just the very surface of...
We go through this need to find something that opposite to us. We attract to the opposite. Eastern people attract to the Western culture.
Right.
Western people flock into the East.
right.
But ultimately, everything
The
comes full
circle.
circle. We come back to where we came from,
Right.
and we just become richer.
Right.
We become much more well-rounded.
And so, and then your path took you, I mean, as I said at the opening, I mean, you've done, I mean, I've done a lot of things, but I think that's what happens because you follow your joy.
Well,
and there are a lot of things that are just incredible to...
As we say in China when I was a child, that a good student, when the student is ready, teacher appears. When you're ready for life, life happens to you.
Right.
And I count my blessings. I always seem to find the right teacher, right mentor, to be at the right place, the right time, to be called upon doing things that really make sense to me.
Right. Feel balanced. You feel in harmony.
Yeah. You're in it instead of always pushing.
And so an interesting point is, in order to have that experience, you have to be in the moment. You have to be present.
Yeah. Otherwise, you miss the whole show.
Right, because then there's some
That's right.
past and present, and you're not in the moment. So, and all the Tao that you also, I mean, okay, let me ask you this question. How does the Tao, T-A-O, fit into Tai Chi and the Tai Chi movements? Why don't you describe
Again,
it?
Tao is a big word. Tao literally in Chinese means, it looks like, let me just demonstrate. It looks like they have two strokes. The Chinese language, a symbolic language. It's a picture language. It's a whole gestalt. And when you look at a symbol, you tune in. You subliminally and consciously, unconsciously, you get into this energy. You see a picture, looks like this. You have two strokes, sort of a V shape, like almost like arm reaching up there. And then you have this wonderful horizontal energy open. So you gather, and you come into the middle. You have this kind of a center feeling. You move this energy in. So basically, as I write this character, as I see the visual image, I'm doing my Tai Chi. I'm opening up. I get the universal energy into my body. I open myself to receive it, and I pull it into myself. I embody it. I go all the way through me, and then I collect my energy. I get into the motion, and I flow with it. So that's the picture of the word Tao.
Mm-hmm.
Tao literally means the way or the path or the next step you take in life, and which is the present moment of your action. You got to know where you are. You got to be in tune with what you're
To
doing.
take the next one.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Many people try to translate it very esoterically, something magical, the capital way. We are all looking for a path.
Right.
But Tao is everything you do in life. And in a Tai Ji sense, and Tai Ji is another two Chinese symbol to sort of explain more of the way you follow in life.
To give you almost guideposts or
Exactly.
techniques.
Yeah.
It's a technique of the way.
Yes. Many people often ask me, are you a Taoist? And do you teach Taoism? which is the language is very different in the Orient than the West.
Well, everybody wants to categorize.
Because we want to be
box
an
you-
ist,
right,
we want to be the
right.
Taoist, we want to
Right.
study Taoism,
Right.
and often I describe myself, I'm a Taoist without the ist,
Right.
or I want to learn about the Tao without the ism.
Right. You want to have the experience that the Tao is about,
It's
rather
a process.
than right, right,
It's not a thing. It's not a
right.
thing.
Because then we get locked into it,
Yeah.
then we're dead.
Yeah, because you have to walk your way. You have live your life. You may have a life prescribed to you. There may be the way somebody tells you should follow, but unless you live the way, it's not your way. It's just an idea of a way.
And all the spiritual paths and Tai Chi are ways for us to come into the knowing of our path, with all the different cultural ways and all the different parental things and all the different this religion, that religion, this sect, this all the things that categorize us and keep us in a way from knowing the truth of who we are.
We are told what to do. We're given the example, and unless you've personally experienced it, you wouldn't know. You just follow. Then you're not living your own life. Yeah.
And that's and we've talked about this so much on the show. What happens in religions or spiritual paths, even it becomes dead because the experience isn't happening anymore.
Yeah, it becomes institutionalized, and then you follow the institution structure or the orders instead of the essence of it. I think most people who are truly religious person going into the capital, the huge R religion, and into the spiritual part, which is the same.
Right, the
In
same.
all major
Right,
religions
right.
were saying the same thing.
Let me ask you this. I seem to think that once you have that big R, then you wouldn't say you're any of the other things
That's
anymore.
right. You can be. I think I am lucky coming from the Chinese culture because as we grow up, it's totally comfortable for us to embrace all different traditions. In fact, we have a saying: a proper Chinese person wears Confucian hat and the Taoist robe and Buddhist sandals at the same time. See,
And Ralph Lauren underwear.
exactly. Why not? You know,
Yeah, why not? Exactly.
And you are everything you learn. The other thing
Let me ask you this question. Why do you think the human momentum is so much to separate everything and categorize
well,
it?
it's safer for us. There's something about being human. I think
We want to be part of something.
We want to be
that's-
organized.
right.
We need to be structured. Then we can break it. We can find freedom within it. But there's always this need to belong.
Well, the infinite is too big in a way.
Yes, it's kind of a daunting.
Yeah, it's daunting
So you
task.
need to belong to some. You belong to a
Right.
family. You have a name. You belong to a country, a community, and then hopefully you become a world citizen.
And as you experience in whatever path you're on, more of those walls breaking down. Let's say the prison just keeps getting bigger.
That's right.
And then hopefully,
You get bigger in it.
right, and
Yeah.
then
You don't have
maybe
to
there'll
fight.
be no walls. And maybe, let me ask you this question. Do you think that necessarily that having a physical body, there's always going to be some limitation on the experience of the infinite?
Well, that's the best and the worst part of it, to have this physical body. In fact, this is what you are.
Right.
There's no more.
Right.
Your thought, it's in here. And whatever you hope to
And
get
all
out
the
of there,
experiences are in
you
here,
need
right.
this. This is your vehicle. This is
Right.
it. You came with it, and you're going to end up with this wherever
is
it
it,
goes.
right.
This is it.
Right.
You can't trade this in. It's not a rental car. You can
Right.
just
Or
just
change
get
it. They're
changed.
working on
No,
trying to
This
change
is it. This is
Right.
the only vehicle you have.
Right.
And you need to capitalize on this one and this round.
Right.
Yeah. And what makes Tai Chi wonderful is once you realize that, you really pay attention to this vehicle. And from your fingertips to the top of your head, to the base of your spine, to every sensory, you become so human. And then out of this vehicle, you really can extend to the highest realm you can reach and deepest grounding you can find. And also
Because there's no limit.
and go deep into yourself as a human,
Right.
as deep as you can go. But it's all here. It's all embodied within you.
Right. Within a human is the infinite and
Exactly.
everything.
We say between heaven and earth in China, 天下 under the heaven is the world, and above earth, here we are. And out of this experience, that's why Tai Chi has provided many Chinese people and myself, and all my life. This is my basis. This is my basic grounding, my resource. And wherever I reach out, it comes from the center.
Is part of Tai Chi, are there like quiet or sitting meditations as part of it, or is it always moving?
Well, sitting is part of movement. Even when you sit quietly, there's stillness. It's a movement, stillness.
Energetically.
Exactly.
Right.
And within this quietness, right in the center, you have this wonderful motion. It just gets closer and closer, more and more centered.
Right.
You notice Tai Chi practice tend to be very slow, because by the time you really practice Tai Chi,
you're not moving at all.
You slow down, because everything comes to such a crystal place. You don't need to rush anymore.
Where you going?
When you're in here and now, you can be still, but you are moving. We are moving beings.
Right, exactly.
We are not rocks. We are not trees with roots, and we may want to find roots sometimes, grounding, but we still are mobile. We are moving creatures, and it's much more normal to move than to sit.
Yeah, I've said a lot that we end up being love in motion.
Yes.
And that's what a human being has the potential to
The
be.
discipline like Zazen, and it's really to help some of us sometimes get too much out there. The energy gets too fiery, too fast. We need to just almost force ourselves, find a way to find a quiet place. But even within this quiet meditation, you're looking for that still point. You're not trying to be a rock and be a static person. You can't, because we are not.
Well, love isn't dead.
Can't.
Right.
And your bloodstream moves, and your nerve endings. And
you're alive.
And the Chinese mystery of the meridian, the qi in your body, the breath of force, this wonderful sensation of energy tuning in and out of universe. It's always moving. You gotta dance with it. So.
And that's where the joy comes in.
That's the joy. See, when I first started teaching Tai Chi, and just out of everybody's interest, and I was an architect, I was a teacher, I was a professor, everybody said, all flocking to Japan to do Zen, and everybody go to India and be.
Where were you a professor?
I was at UCLA.
No kidding, that's great.
I was at UCLA, and one of my students, her husband said, well, you have to come to Santa Barbara.
Really?
To meet Alan
That's where
Watt.
the show is taped.
That's right, Santa Barbara, here we are.
So here we are,
My
full circle.
Full circle, and they said, Alan Watt, you have to come and meet. I said, well, who is he? He's a philosopher, he writes about Asian stuff. I said, I'd like to read his book.
Right.
And I read his book, I said, wow, this man knows how to talk about the ineffable.
Right.
So I was impressed. So he invited me to come to Santa Barbara to visit him when he gave a seminar here at Hope Ranch.
Wow.
And then I was his guest, and I ended up teaching with him the whole weekend.
Wow.
That's how it began.
Really?
Yeah. And
how did he find out that you knew Tai? Was it Tai Chi? Was it movements you would teach?
Well, I was not teaching, but I was sharing Tai Chi.
I see.
So that time in the 60s, everybody want to learn something Asian.
Right.
So they want
or
to
take
learn.
something American.
Everybody want to learn something from it. So I suddenly realized something. It was second nature to me. I learned as a child. Suddenly it was popular.
Wow.
And I had a whole new vehicle to share. So I came here, and Alan said, teach with me. And so that's how I began to realize I have something to contribute.
And did you immediately stop being an architect and just start?
Well, it's a gradual thing.
Unwinding.
I was, as you mentioned, I have many lives, and I was an architect briefly, and when I was an architecture, we were speaking in the green room here, and by chance I met Sammy Davis Jr., and he invited me to go on a tour with him because he wanted to show the world there's no color difference. He was in the 60s, and he married a white Swedish starlet, and he wanted to show the world love has no color.
Wow.
So he took 5 young people to tour with in different color, different race. And he said, can you dance? I said, well, I do Tai Chi. And he says, let me teach you the time steps.
Really?
So I learned the time step quickly and shuffle. And he said, you do. So come tour with me. So I had to ask my boss for a leave of absence.
To go with Sammy Davis. That's great.
And it was a wonderful
So did you go to Vegas?
Oh, I went to Vegas. I went everywhere. Yeah. So we had a good time.
For how long did you do that?
I toured with him for 7 weeks.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that you knew you were done with that?
Yeah. Well, after 2 weeks in Las Vegas, when you wake up, the
was
sun
enough.
is setting, and
No, I've
you're
been to
enough.
Vegas,
It's
right.
fun. It's for a while
Right.
when you were young,
Right.
but it was not very healthy life.
No.
The way to live. So
No,
I
too
said
much eating,
goodbye,
too much
embrace
smoke.
him, and thank you so much for the experience. That was
Right.
a
And then
nice-
you went back to.
I went back to graduate school, and I went back to graduate school. I studied anthropology and choreography, and then I came back from East Coast, and I started teaching full time at UCLA. That's when I met Alan Watts.
And when did you start knowing that kind of your destiny was to impart
Well-
that joy and love to
Well,
people?
actually, Alan Watts invited me to teach with him at Esalen Institute in Big Sur. That was 30 some years ago, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, somebody asked me, I've taught there consecutively for 36 years now, almost since the beginning.
Wow.
There,
You were
of
the
course,
first person in the hot tub.
one of the first. One of the
I
first.
was in that. It's a beautiful place.
It is it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
great
place. Also, it's a wonderful institute that truly opened up the whole alternative way of learning, thinking. Some of the great scholars and became my mentors: Aldous Huxley, Alan Watts, Joseph Campbell, Gregory Bateson. So these people just came into my life, and I learned so much. And to realize that the world is rich, full of knowledge and wisdom, and I
love.
was able to contribute my heritage
Uh-huh.
and to learn to
And at
create
a certain
wholeness.
point, it's like beyond the heritage.
Absolutely.
You know, it's.
And we,
I mean, what's heritage?
it's our
is joy.
language now.
Right.
We talk about Tai Ji, Tao,
Right,
and
exactly.
Qi, Qigong. It's everybody's language.
Right.
It's in the dictionary. You know, Zen, everybody know what that is.
Right.
Tao.
Everybody knows the word.
Exactly.
Very
Know
few
the
people
word.
know what it says.
But I always say to people, but it's in you. You are embodied already. You just have to rediscover it. You are a Tai Chi dancer to begin with.
Right.
Every child has it. In my book, my first book, Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain, this is going to be 30 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in 12 languages. It's
Wow.
one of these first non-attempt. You know, I didn't even know how to write, but it's from my transcription for my seminars.
Uh-huh.
And my first publisher said, "You just got to do this." I said, "Well, help
Here it
me,
is,
help
yeah,
me."
right.
So my wife and
Right.
I and my editor, we edited the book, and then that's 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's how it began, and I realized I had something to contribute. Yeah,
And it's just been a process because you do
And-
concerts where you're.
and one thing
Who
led to
knows
another.
what
One thing well,
say
I
you're
love the
doing,
theater. I love the
right.
movement. So and I start dancing, and I use my Kung Fu background, Tai Chi background. I pick up the dance. I study more dance. I became a concert dancer. I went to New York. I went to all the festivals. I met my wife, who's a dancer. And that's how I met her. She was a leading dancer in my company. And we have 2 children, and we have 1 grandson. And life just continues.
One breath at a time.
One breath and another. And then before I know it, I have all these books. A reluctant writer, I have 8, 9 books now in print.
Yeah,
More
you
to
know, it's
go.
interesting because it's
Yeah.
the same thing with the show. You know, people ask, well, did you plan on doing, you
No.
know, and you just plan on doing one
No,
at a time.
exactly.
That's your intention. You know,
That's
we have
right.
an intention to do,
Yeah.
11 more shows this season, but there are a lot of breaths between here and there.
But if you're lucky enough to sort of in the place, the right time, and stay there, things happen to you. And as we also say, the wind of God is always blowing. Opportunity is always there. You have to you have to put up the sail and catch it.
Right.
Otherwise, everything bypasses you.
Right.
You miss it. If
It's
you're
there.
If it's
It's
there,
always
if
there.
you want to use it. If it's there, if you want to dance with it. Yeah.
Okay, now, so what prevents people from seeing or experiencing the wind in their sails?
Well, I think we still there's a block between knowing ourselves, the true deep nature within ourselves, which is no difference from the nature all around us. Those of us who are lucky enough to live closer to nature are so blessed. And right now I live most of my time now in Oregon on the coast. I have an institute there, and I have a summer program. People come to me there in the place called Gold Beach, Oregon, where I truly have a small center now, and where the Rogue River flows to the Pacific Ocean, and you have the ancient forest there. You have the river flowing, what we call feng shui, Chinese, wind and water. It's a perfect surrounding for you to be in tune with nature. But when you are part of it, the timing is right. You are in tune. Everything seems to be with you. When you live in cities, when you work in less natural surroundings, which most of us, unfortunately, I used to have to live in the city as well most of the time, you lose the connection. And you have gaps, you have blockages. And you have to take time to meditate. You have to take time to take a holiday.
It's not natural.
It's not natural anymore. And
Right.
we have to organize ourselves in a way. So in a way, we remove ourselves further and further away from this deep joy, deep awareness of who we are. And we have to go roundabout way to find spirit again.
Yeah, instead of our lives providing us with
Exactly.
exercise, we have to go to a gym and
Exactly.
use phony machines.
Or you have to wait one day in a week to go to church or a chapel or the temple to be in tune with the spirit.
And you wonder why the momentum of
And
your
the
life...
rest of the week, you
Right.
have no time for it. But in the Tai Chi practice, for instance, every morning I wake up, the first thing I must do is to acknowledge my vehicle. And if I'm lucky enough to be on the beach, I go to the shore. If I'm by a garden, I go to the flower. Even if I'm in a hotel room, I go to the nearest flower pot.
Right.
Or open the window to the nearest place I can see green trees and sky to tune in. Yeah. And you have to consciously get in touch with something that is what we call real.
Bigger
Bigger
than-
than
right.
the artificial thing we make our life inside.
That boxes
Exactly.
us in.
We got to
Right.
get out of the box.
Right.
And this whole idea of transcendence, and go beyond it. When I do a gesture like this, it's not to frame myself in this limitation of my arm's length. It's to go beyond
right,
the
open the
fingertips.
sky.
Exactly. When I make a circle like this, and I know I can't reach the sky physically, but the sky is up there for me.
Well, energetically,
And
where
I
does
can
your
receive
energy end? It doesn't end
Never.
with your finger.
Doesn't end.
Right.
Doesn't
so.
end. And even between conversation between two people, if you really talk, you go through each other.
Yeah,
you
you
don't
become-
stop.
yeah,
you go
right,
through each other.
right.
You exchange. You really embrace.
They always
everything
tell me
around
I'm
you.
moving my hands
Yeah.
too much, but compared to you, I'm nothing. So
You go
from now on, everybody, I'm saying, see, here's a man, he uses his hands even more than me now.
You incorporate everything. You bring the flowers around. You
Right.
bring the color and design. And you incorporate everybody's energy around you, and you are in the midst of the here and now. You're in the moment. You are in the zones.
But that's the only place you live.
It is.
So if you're, other than that, if you're in the past or the future...
Then you're
or in-
you're trying to get back to this.
Right, you're in an illusion.
The
You're
whole,
in, right.
as a Chinese person, reading the Bible and the Christian tradition and the way, little perspective of objectivity, and the first time I read about the story of the Eden, for instance, and I said, what a wonderful, wonderful story. And why are we banished? It's because unless you know how to live in your garden,
Right.
you might as well be out.
Yeah, you're not,
You might as
you're
well-
not taking
you might
care
as
of
well
it,
be
you're
banished,
ruining it.
yeah.
Right.
So if you do not know this is your garden, you're not tilling your garden, you're not cultivating your garden, you're wasting your garden. My body is my field of resource, so I must pay attention to this awareness. And my intellect is here, and my sensitivity, my emotion, my physical needs, everything is here. I got to pay attention. And that is the whole beginning, the basis of the Tai Chi practice. When you truly learn how to use your Tai Chi practice, you use this wonderful vehicle, my human being, who I am.
And you move in,
Yeah.
in a meditative motion, to use words, but you don't know where you're going to end up because you're
Well,
not going anywhere.
You're in a
sense.
process. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
Because if you're truly in the process, you're not worrying about the ending of it. You're interested in
Breath
the
to
journey.
breath to
It's not the destination. You're not goal-oriented in the way that you've got to succeed at the end. Meanwhile, if you don't enjoy the
What's
route,
the point?
the journey, when you get there, you are still in a place you don't enjoy.
Right. A great place to get to.
If you don't like where you
Stunk
are,
all the way and it stinks when you get there. It's a dream come true.
if you don't like where you are, you got to change the now.
Right.
And then that becomes
Because that's
the
the
journey.
only
That
point
becomes the
you
journey.
are, right.
When you get to there, you are still here, and you
Right.
better change here.
Actually, there was when I was in Denver one time, we were going to go down the the Grand Canyon, there was this book, Wherever You Go, There You Are.
Yeah, you are. Exactly.
You know, so
Exactly.
you get down, either on top or down, you're still there.
If
Whatever's
you're
going on.
miserable here, you go to the most beautiful, joyous place, you're still miserable there.
And
unless
the
you
other
change
and the
yourself.
other way is someone who's joyous
Yeah.
will bring that joy. Although you don't want to go to concentrate. There are ugly places on
Exactly.
earth that we do terrible things to
Yeah.
each other. But
Yeah.
but there is a transcendental experience of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, also people make excuses. Well, I have an ugly office. My home is really not what I want. My,
I'm not
my
going
job,
out with the right person.
Yeah,
when I get
exactly.
married, when I get
Wait
more
until I
money.
go to Hawaii, I'll swim.
Right.
I'll dance. I'll enjoy the sunshine. But you can bring it right here, no matter where you are. And it's what you do with what you have.
I mean, the fact that you can look in a mirror and there's something looking back. I mean, what is a greater miracle than that? I mean, whether we're in the country, we're at the
That's right.
ocean. I mean, the miracle is that we exist.
That's right. Yeah.
One of the miracles.
And then you do something with what you have. I was joking before the show. I said, well, one of my specialties is teaching people how to do middle seat Tai Chi in the airplane.
Right.
People always complain they get jet lagged, they're cramped, and such a long trip, especially when you travel abroad. And what do you do? And you get stuck in the middle seat. What do you do? I can't do
Two
Tai Chi.
heavy-set
I
people.
learned Tai Chi, but what am I doing? I'm stuck there. I said, well, you can, for instance, if you just do a small size.
Right.
Even if you're too shy, you can just pretend you're opening the air vent. You can do some Tai Chi movement. You turn the light on. You can drop your pencil and pick it up.
You keep doing it. Nowadays, they'll call me, I think we have a weird person.
I know. No.
Could be
But
arrested
in
nowadays.
your very small way, you can keep
No, I
certain
understand.
movements.
I'm
Yeah,
just
of
playing.
course. Now everybody have to be much more careful.
It is weird. I mean, I just took a plane, actually 3 or 4 planes in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And literally,
Well,
they
we're
almost
paranoid.
undressed me.
We are
4
paranoid
times.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, very paranoid.
But the more you need to find the inner space, inner movement in you, and that what create the learning. For instance, I'm looking at what you blow up here, one of my book called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind. And when we were trying to look for the title, and I remember how I used to mix metaphors, because we have a division. The mind does the thinking, the body does the movement, and you quit your office work with your head and you go to the gym and work out with your body. We have this idea of separation.
Divide everything. Yeah, we separate everything.
But if you mix it, if you think the body really has to do more thinking most of the time, you've got to trust the body to think, to guide you.
Yeah, drop out of the head.
And
for a
your
minute.
head shouldn't be so structured, so stuck. You need to dance. You're much more creative, much more flowing. So let the mind dance, and let your body do the thinking.
I mean, we just divide things
Yeah.
and separate things,
Yeah.
and even to say that the body doesn't think and the mind doesn't dance is ludicrous. Do you know what I mean? It's just words
Once we
that
make a division like this, we really
we limit,
compartmentalize the whole person.
and we feel separate from ourselves, and that nothing feels. That's I've said this before. It's the only problem that we have on Earth is that we feel separate from ourselves, the Creator, each other. And the rest are just offshoots of that particular experience.
The other part goes together with the movement part. I think many of us are a little intimidated. Most everybody, so unless you're a dancer, you're a musician, I go to concert, I sit there and watch you vicariously enjoying you dance, you play the music. And we sit there sort of hoping, wishing. But that's not it. One of the musicians I work with and often is David Darling, plays the cello. And this week we're doing this concert together, and he has a foundation called Music for People. This parallel to what I do is movement, dancing for everybody. You don't have to be a professional dancer, professional musician to love music and dance. Music is in you, and you sing. Every breath you take, you sing. You hear music, and sound is music, and everything moves and dances. And once you get into that sense of who you are, and you become a joyful person. Otherwise, you're always suppressed, and everything sort of stifles you and blocks you. And you're not good enough, and you're not doing it right or wrong, instead of just enjoy it.
And you feel clogged.
Yeah.
Everything's clogged.
Yeah.
Because there's not that flow of the river, the flow
We
of your
are
life.
judgmental, and we are the worst judging ourselves, what we can be. And I often tell people, okay, do you ask birds to go to flying school before they can fly? The fish have to go to swimming classes in order to enjoy the water. But we human beings often, we don't trust we can move unless we take movement class, we take dance class. We assume we are awkward, we are not very graceful.
And that's
which
a
is-
metaphor for everything.
Exactly.
It's not just
Yeah.
our movements physically.
Which-
I mean, we're
Which applies to
disharmonious
exactly
everywhere.
makes every part of your life stifled. And one of my work is to help people to really trust your true nature. You are a dancer. You are a musician.
you are love.
You flow. You are
God,
love.
right.
You are God. You
I mean,
are
I did-
you are spirit.
right,
You did it.
right,
This early meditation is
right.
beautifully done. That's exactly. But unless we take it to heart,
Unless we experience it.
and we must experience it personally.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, nobody can tell you that.
No.
If you know it through your own experience, you are reaffirmed over and over again.
Yeah, the way we talk about it is that you rub up against it so much. I mean, whatever path you're on, if you can rub up against that experience, then you become more that's what you're identifying with, instead of all the differences that I'm
Absolutely.
Jewish or Chinese or whatever we think, male, female, young, old.
Yes.
But that experience of the love.
Yeah. Well, I think using the word love, parents love their children. They want their children to grow to be a whole human being, happy human being. At the same time, there's a conflict of how to help them. And no matter how you try, you impose restrictions, you stifle them, you
To
judge
try
them.
to protect them.
Yeah, sometimes
Right.
love turns into something other than truly encourage the growth of the human being. From the best teaching profession to the loving parents, we all try for the first time. If we are lucky, we do a better job than other people.
Right.
But ultimately, as you know, when you interview your guests and when we talk to people, often you have to start all over again as an adult. And when you look at children, they have no problem. Only reach a certain age, they lost it. And we have to find some way
How do
to
you
come
get
back. We have to
childlike
find a way
again?
to back to Eden again. We have to find a way back to our garden, back to the original grace. And so much of the learning in life, especially as an adult, and there's no more obligation to get your degree, you've done your learning, you've got enough schooling. The rest of the schooling is truly to explore who you can be, what your best potential you must fulfill as a human being.
Yeah, I mean, what point do you think that people begin to think themselves as grown up and freeze themselves right there? Is it when they get married, when they have children? What does that? I mean, I'm not saying it has to.
Sure.
But if you look through, at some point, I asked my father, when did you become grown up, an adult? And that childlike quality became something negative, to be playful and childish. And
Well, going back to the idea of this human-made structure, the gradations. You go to certain grade,
And then you have to-
elementary
you're
school,
supposed
high
to grow
school, and after childhood, you're supposed to be grown up overnight.
Right.
And the whole transition, we enforce the transition without organic process. And primal people and less civilized people have much better sense about how to get the transition. There's coming of age rituals in the old tradition, in the ancient culture, and also in the primal culture. And we have lost many of those rituals
And do you
for
think
people
it's
to
because
grow.
of manufacturing, commercialism, cities?
We are rushing it. We put different values on different things, and we forget everything needs a transition, needs a process. It's a natural, organic way from childhood to adolescence to adulthood to aging to the deathbed, which is something I learned all over again with one of my other great mentor, Joseph Campbell, the mythologist. Joseph taught about the myth. The whole power of the myth served the function. One of many functions is to help us to really find a way, in the beginning, to remain in a sense of awe with the wonder of the universe. And every child has a sense of wonder. Grown up, we lose it. We need more and more things to excite us. And children can get so excited with something, and nature is full of wonders, we forget it. And then we have to fit into structure, social structure and community, and we get lost in it. And primal myth help us to understand the ritual, and also understand how to go through different parts of your life. From the birth to childhood, through adolescence, to adulthood, finally, and I call it sage instead of age. Okay. And when you reach
But
certain
there's
age,
no reason that as we're going through this process that
no,
we
to
lose
lose.
that
No,
joy
you
or
must
the
not.
child. Yeah,
you must
exactly,
not.
right.
It's a natural flow of nature. Nature itself never put categories. We never worship youth only. We never put old age down. Our Western society, at least currently, we tend to worship youth, and we do put the aging in the different category. But now, as we reach this time in our life, as I get older, and I realize that I'm at the prime of my life, I'm on the sort of aging category.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a whole
somebody said,
different perspective.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, when you were a certain age,
That's right.
and you'd look at people your age, and go,
They're ancient.
How
They're
do they
ancient.
walk? I know.
Right now, everybody is young.
Right.
It's
It is
true.
odd. I mean,
It's
yeah.
true.
But it doesn't mean, because in your being, you're infinite.
Yeah.
You're not an age. You're not, and the joy lives there.
It's in your spirit. It's how you feel about yourself. And there's another wonderful thing about Tai Chi is once you use your body, you do stay more agile. You stay more alive. You have more energy. You have more we call qi. Qi is that breath of life, yeah, in Chinese. And now it's very popular. Everybody's doing some form of qigong, which is an exercise to really help you to revitalize yourself, and it's very healing. And literally means how to get more power out of your breath, of your energy.
Yeah, I think it's about time we should tell people that you're really 172 years old. And doesn't he look good?
Well, I'm a grandfather.
Right.
I am at my Medicare age. But I'm fortunate because of my lifelong practice of Tai Chi and my dancing.
Knock on wood, as they
Knock
say.
on wood, dancing, and I smile a lot, and
Yeah, you
I enjoy
joy,
life.
right,
I enjoy
exactly.
life, and I feel grateful.
You know, if you're in
grateful.
harmony, you're not always resisting. Resistance and stress is
Yeah,
the worst
I feel
thing.
blessed. I feel blessed. I feel I'm so fortunate, and I have wonderful family, I have friends. I love my work, and what more can you ask? And knock on wood, and I can still dance, and and my Tai Chi feels wonderful when I do it, and I can share my joy. And what more can you ask? You know,
No, it's fantastic. I feel the same.
Yeah, it is.
It's
I think you and I share your work with the show, and I teach, and we try to communicate with people that in spite of all these horrible things happening in the world, and since the beginning of time, let's face it, maybe we're just slow evolving species, human beings. We're just slow learners.
It's funny you say that, because the opening to the last show, I said, if I told you there was war now in different parts of the world and people were strapping bombs, would you know what year it was? Over the last 10,000 years?
Exactly. You can't pinpoint. Exactly. It will probably go on for a while. But meanwhile...
Well, let's hope it's ending as we speak right at the moment.
It is ending. It's ending right here between you and me.
Absolutely.
It's ending when people watch the show, share our feelings, and know that we are loving human beings. We are all the same all over the world. It has nothing to do with what name of the nation, what color of the skin, what religious worship they are going through their ritual.
What age?
Wherever they live,
sexual-
geographic,
yeah, right.
doesn't matter.
All of it.
Down deep, you are the good person. The other wonderful human being in our midst, Dalai Lama, His Holiness. And the first time I met him, we were at the Davos conference. And Davos in Switzerland, where they always have the world. Davos. I should do it more properly. Davos, Switzerland.
Wait, let me just say, we are coming to the end of the show. If you want any information on where Al's going to be, books, seminars, teaching, Alan,
an
80,
hour.
is that amazing?
An hour.
Okay.
Well, I have a very
805-687-2053. We love you. Good night. God bless you. Come again. We have incredible shows this season. We do it for you. Good night.
This is the fastest 1 hour talking.